Today's speech will be about polar bears. Today, well, everybody knows about polar bears, right? About like the big animals in like the cold and snowy Arctic. Some of us may think about polar bears when we think about the snow or about when we think about like Alaska or just the cold, because maybe we think about their fearsome or like their scary faces or about their cute photographs that sometimes we see like on the TV, or we might even think about the Coca-Cola advertisement that featured the the polar bears drinking their soda, right? But today I will be teaching you guys about the history of polar bears, about some of the different myths and stories that involve polar bears in different cultures and all over the world, and also about the present day situation that polar bears are facing in today's world. In our history, many of us know about how polar bears originated from brown bears, but we do not realize how long this whole process took. It took about over 600,000 years for this to take place, for the polar bears to migrate over the ice and to genetically change for its conditions in the ecosystem. All of this, all of us scientists all over the world have searched and have worked hard to find evidence and facts about them. And they have found fossils for over 100, 130,000 years old, fossils found all over the cold and the snow. But these fossils have been very controversial because many of them have been found to have traces to be connected with to brown bears, and others with black bears. But this is very it, like the different scientists in in their fields. For example, scientists who work with their DNA have found that some polar bears are completely not related to brown bears. Meanwhile, other brown bears are like almost siblings with polar bears. This can be very confusing because sometimes they are or sometimes they're not. And then the fossil foundings that they have found don't help at all with this research because they have found that some fossils are more similar to brown bears than polar bears, but this can all be found as when you mix both of the two fields together, we find that there's certain brown bears that didn't migrate at all, so they have no traces to being connected to polar bears. Meanwhile, other brown bears did migrate, and those are the ones who are almost siblings, very much connected to polar bears. But this also does another question. Are there more species of bears other than just brown, black, or polar bears? There can be mixtures of each. So there might be a mix of that's more brown bear than polar bear, or more polar bear than brown bear. And we still don't know and haven't classified them as different species. Now, we will move on to some of their stories and mythologies. We have the Greeks, the Vikings, and the Native Americans. The Vikings have the polar bear as a huge symbol of combat because of their physical features of being both an attacker and a protector. Many of the Vikings who were where it is now, current day Sweden, many used to have polar bears as not only pets but also in their houses as household pets, just like we do nowadays as dogs. But as they grew too big, they had to be either sacrificed for rituals, but they were paid with due respect because of their physical attributes, just such as strength and their their role in, I guess, being as predators. So they were viewed with great respect and were great signs of battle and combat. We also have the Greeks, who saw them for their wise thinking and for their character. Many were The polar bear was connected to the goddess Artemis, who was the protector of animals and of hunting. So we can see clearly why the polar bear was associated with her and was also sometimes called her little priest. They also have connected the polar bear the to the stars, making it some of the parts of the constellation as we see as nowadays in astrology. We also have the Native Americans who saw them who saw them as big protectors, not only for their tribes, but also as spiritually. we have from nativelanguage.org that they were seen as spiritual leaders who could help them through any type of diseases or to lead them through hunting. They were greatly respected because it is said in stories and myths that they were the ones who taught the hunters how to hunt seals, which is for Native Americans was a very big food source. Uh, a type of Alaskan Native Americans call the polar bears nakuk, which is what they call in their native language polar bears. Today, in the modern day problems that polar bears are having is that they are not only endangered, but their ecosystem is also is at great danger because of global warming and climate change. Many of the polar bears no longer have much ice to live on top or to hunt, so they are not only starving, but they are heating up too much due to their thick fur and their physical attributes, such as they need to hunt and they need cold weather to survive. They are considered in danger along with many other animals in their ecosystem. There must be a balance in their ecosystem, and if one of them dies or falls short, the rest are affected. For example, the penguins, the wolves, the Arctic foxes, and the salmon are all being affected. When there is nobody to hunt the salmon, such as polar bears, there is too many, and the balance of the whole ecosystem is broken. Right now, there is currently 36,000 left in the wild, which is very few to how there used to be. There is said to be a decrease by 30% in the next couple of years, which is a lot, and that could lead to them becoming extinct. And this is by the worldlife.org. So today we must do a lot of things if we want to keep polar bears alive in our ecosystem and in the Arctic. And now to recap, we talked about the history of polar bears, about some of the myths and stories from different cultures and different places all around the world. And we also said about the present day situation that polar bears are living in today. And if we want to have polar bears in our future, we must do something right now to help protect them so that they can live for many, many more years. And thank you.